You see an advertisement on television. It is vivid, almost hypnotizing. The images are glossy, the colors bright. And then, like a gentle whisper in your ear, the message: you need the new Sonic 5000 smartphone. Better pictures, better screen, better moments, better life. In that moment, you start to feel like your current phone isn't enough, like you're not complete without the Sonic 5000. You feel small, like a virus. The message that has been planted in you invades your mind. Can you feel how subtly this message is affecting your needs and desires? Imagine someone who knows your weaknesses and exploits them to achieve their goals. This could be your ruthless colleague who abuses their position of power, or a false friend who spins intrigues. Their actions are perfidious, almost invisible in their subtlety. They sow doubt, whisper lies, play people off against each other. They know exactly which buttons to push to steer you in a direction they deem advantageous. Think about it. To them, you're nothing more than a puppet they can push around as they please. You dance or slave for them as they wish. This kind of manipulation can be particularly damaging because it often comes from people we trust or who have authority over us. They exploit our fears, hopes, and insecurities, and it hits you when you least expect it. You pressed play on this video because you know that you are always exposed to the pull of manipulation. The challenge here is to recognize the signs. Do you often feel insecure or doubtful around a certain person? Does your perception of yourself or others change when this person is around? Good that you found this video. Recognizing these subtle forms of manipulation requires a deep understanding of yourself and the people around you. It requires the ability to look beyond the obvious content of a conversation or situation and recognize the hidden intentions. Think of the ancient philosophers. They taught us to look beyond appearances. Socrates challenged us to constantly question, and Plato showed us how easily we can be deceived. In our modern world, where manipulation can be ubiquitous, these lessons are more valuable than ever. But we'll come back to that later. You must watch this video to the end, or you will miss out on their valuable advice. So, are you ready to cut through the fog of manipulation in this video? Are you ready to summon the courage to seek the truth, even if it's uncomfortable? Your journey begins with the realization that not all that glitters is gold, and that true freedom lies in the ability to see beyond the surface. Let's start with emotional manipulation. Imagine a relationship where one person is constantly exploiting the other's emotions to gain control. For example, one partner creating guilt to get the other to do what they want. "If you really loved me, you would do this for me," is a classic example. Here, love is used as a weapon to gain power over the other person. Like a sheep, you are slowly led away from your flock by this strategy of manipulation. The manipulator keeps inflicting small stabs on you so that you don't notice, and as soon as you realize what is happening, he has you in his grip. Psychological manipulation goes even deeper. It aims to change the way we think and perceive our reality. A good example is propaganda in the media. On television and especially on the internet, bright colors, perfectly coordinated animations, huge advertising banners. Do you really think that the people who create these tools of power leave anything to chance? Through selective reporting and the use of loaded language, news sources can influence public opinion. They can cast certain events in a certain light to elicit certain reactions. Social manipulation takes place on a larger level and often relates to the dynamics within a group. A well-known phenomenon in this area is groupthink. This concept was coined by the psychologist Irving Janis in the 1970s and describes how groups often tend towards irrational or dysfunctional decision-making processes in order to maintain consensus. A historical example of this is the Bay of Pigs invasion in the year 1961, where a group of advisors to US President Kennedy agreed on a flawed strategy because no one wanted to challenge the group consensus. Be careful not to follow the herd like a sheep. In the end, everyone is heading for the abyss and no one knows why. These forms of manipulation can occur in relationships, in the media, and in advertising. A simple billboard suggesting that you can only be happy with a certain product is an example of emotional manipulation. A news program that only shows one side of a story, shaping your perception of an event, is an example of psychological manipulation. And the pressure you may feel to conform to the opinions of your social group, even if you disagree, is an example of social manipulation. These forms of manipulation are not always obvious. Often they are so subtle that we don't even notice them. That's why you're lucky to have come across this video. You need to free yourself from manipulation, and by learning to recognize and understand it, you can begin to resist it. Now let's start with the techniques. What do you do when you realize that someone is trying to control you? Let's take the example of Edmond Dantes from Alexandre Dumas' classic novel, The Count of Monte Cristo. Dantes, a young man full of hope and innocence, is betrayed by a conspiracy of his supposed friends and unjustly thrown into prison. In the dark cells of the Château d'If, however, Dante finds a deep self-awareness. Through years of reflection and study under the guidance of his fellow prisoner, Abbé Faria, he discovers his inner strength and the ability to take his fate into his own hands. When he finally escapes, he uses his newfound knowledge and self-awareness to rise up against his enemies and take triumphant revenge. There are two things you should definitely take away from this story. In the world of self-awareness, mindfulness meditation and introspective journaling are two powerful tools. They help us to observe and understand our thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed by them. These practices can support us in identifying our own weaknesses and vulnerabilities to manipulation. If you find yourself in a trap of manipulation, use this knowledge to destroy it. Carl Jung, a master of understanding the unconscious, teaches us that confronting our inner shadows makes us more whole human beings. Do you understand? By acknowledging and integrating the darker aspects of ourselves, we become more resilient to external influences. Finally, it's important to mention two common challenges on the path to self-awareness. First, the tendency to be self-critical, which can prevent us from seeing ourselves in a true light. Second, the difficulty of breaking old habits and thought patterns that entangle us in manipulative dynamics. Both challenges require patience and dedication to overcome. But I'm sure you can do it. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how to further strengthen your mental armor. Building mental resilience is crucial in order to arm ourselves against manipulation and lead a self-determined life. This resilience enables us to face challenges with clarity and determination. A key aspect of this is the development of critical thinking and analytical judgment. A practical approach to strengthening critical thinking is the method of questioning. Instead of accepting information without checking it, we should learn to ask questions. Who is saying this? With what intention? What evidence is there? This kind of questioning helps us to look beyond the surface and gain deeper insights. Examples from science illustrate the importance of this approach. Consider Galileo Galilei, who challenged the prevailing astronomical views of his time and strengthened the heliocentric view of the world through his observations. His ability to question established assumptions led to revolutionary discoveries. Another tool for strengthening mental resilience is practicing analytical thinking. This can be done through puzzles, logic games, or solving complex problems. Such exercises sharpen our minds and train us to critically evaluate information and draw conclusions. It is also important to create an environment that encourages critical thinking. This can mean surrounding yourself with people who offer different perspectives and opinions and are open to debate and discussion. And you know exactly who these people are at that moment. Okay, you've definitely learned a lot already, but I still have some more tips for you. Some manipulations are simply too strong to fend off with the above-mentioned means. They are as shallow and inconspicuous as a breeze that slowly but steadily drives you into the abyss. This is where you have to interrupt the manipulation. How? That's what the next chapter is about. To develop a state of mind that is resistant to manipulation, we can draw on the principles of cognitive behavioral therapy and positive psychology. These approaches offer concrete techniques and exercises that help us to strengthen mental autonomy and ward off manipulative influences. Let's start with self-reflection. This technique enables us to recognize and question our thoughts and beliefs. By reflecting regularly, we can recognize when our thought patterns are shaped by external influences and begin to make more conscious decisions. A simple exercise for this is to keep a daily reflection diary. Affirmations are another powerful tool. Through positive self-talk, we can boost our self-confidence and resist negative, manipulative messages. For example, daily repetition of phrases such as, "I trust my own judgment," or "I am immune to manipulative influences," can reprogram our subconscious and strengthen us mentally. Pause this video now and stand in front of the mirror and say out loud, "I am immune to manipulative influences." Do this now, otherwise your manipulator is laughing at you behind your back. I am immune to manipulative influences. Say that out loud. Then return to this video. Visualization techniques from positive psychology can also be effective. By regularly visualizing ourselves in situations where we successfully resist manipulation, we prepare our minds to act similarly in reality. We have been on an enlightening journey together, a journey that has shown us the complexity of manipulation and the value of self-awareness. Now, at the end of this journey, we want to summarize the key findings and motivate you to follow your own path to mental freedom. Remember how we talked about the different forms of manipulation, emotional, psychological, social, and the importance of recognizing them. We've learned through literary examples like Edmond Dantes how powerful self-awareness can be in escaping the shackles of manipulation. We have emphasized the importance of building mental resilience by focusing on critical thinking and analytical skills. We have seen how scientists like Galileo Galilei inspire us not to simply accept information, but to critically question it. Now for a practical step that you can implement immediately, put your affirmation journal next to your bed. Every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to sleep, take a few minutes to read or write your affirmations. These positive self-talks are powerful tools to boost your self-confidence and arm you against manipulative influences. They reprogram your subconscious and help you to remain mentally strong and autonomous. We also explored the techniques of cognitive behavioral therapy and positive psychology to help you develop a manipulation-free state of mind. We heard inspiring stories from people who have successfully freed themselves from manipulation. Now it's your turn. Start your path to mental freedom. It takes courage and determination, but the journey is worth it. You have the right and the ability to live a life that is truly yours, free from the shackles of manipulation. I challenge you, break free. Use the knowledge and tools we have discussed to take control of your thoughts, your decisions, and your life. It's time for you to unleash your true self and live an authentic, self-determined life.